Hello, lolly people. Today I will be investigating a allegedly bad crimp. So recently I bought this charger for myself and I made a fuse holder that's gone from the battery, fuse, and like a quick connect disconnect here plug, which basically my charger just plugs in. And I made two crimps, one for the negative, two for the positive. I had at the moment only like oversized lugs, and I cribbed them apparently very poorly. And everybody was like, "Oh, it's a big resistance. You're gonna burn your car to the ground. It's gonna, and this fuse as well. It's bad. Everything is basically the worst that it can be." So I thought I'm just gonna try to investigate it. I'm gonna show you this crimp from close up when I'm gonna remove it. It's just I was trying to figure out how to check if the crimp and all the assembly is good or bad. So first of all is resistance. Very simple. I have a multimeter here. Let's check the leads. Sometimes it goes to 0.1 ohm, but sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, so you can see 0 ohms. Yeah, so it doesn't do anything. So just basic resistance from let's check from the battery itself, like from here to the lug. 0.1. There we go, 0.1 sometimes. So it's the same like with the lead, sometimes it shows 0.1. Now let's check from the battery to the positive on this connector, which is this one, this, and battery. Same 0 ohms. So basically no resistance. I'm just gonna double check this one as well. That's my cable running to the back to the amps. Oh my god. Same 0 ohms. Let's check the negative one because this negative is exactly the same crimp. And which one is it? Is this one. There we go. Okay, 0 ohms. So no resistance. Now I'm gonna check voltage drop. So I'm gonna connect the charger. And there we go. So the charger is working. It analyzes the battery. Let's check what we have on the battery terminals. Oh, voltage. DC. 14.5. So it is charging. It's just the opposite because minus. There we go. So the charger is charging. And one way how you can check the voltage drop between any kind of stuff in the path, you basically measure from 1. So basically if you want to measure the voltage drop that is caused by resistance on the battery terminal itself, you take one lead on the terminal and the other one on here, and as you can see the voltage drop is 0.3 millivolts. Okay, so now let's check from the crimp itself, from this one to this fuse holder terminal. So I'm just gonna pop the lead in there. There we go. And from here, and the voltage drop is 0.0 millivolts. No voltage drop at all. That means that there's no resistance. Let's try this one. Exactly 0.0 millivolts. So this crimp, as whatever it is, it has no resistance. Well, it has some resistance, but it's not picked up by this multimeter. It doesn't show any resistance. It doesn't show any voltage drop. So that means so far so good. Now I'm gonna take them off and see, like visually inspect the crimp and see how it looks like. Okay, so now let's inspect the crimp itself and this fuse. Let's actually start with the crimp. now is just a visual inspection, but later I'm gonna try to do like a durability test to push it, to try to pull it, because like with the hands you cannot pull it, but I'm gonna try to use some kind of device and try to measure the force. Okay, so as you can see, it is flat because it is an oversized lug. It's totally fine. So I did crimp it using a set of these, just like that. Yeah, and let's have a look. So inside there's a tiny little air gap, as you can see here, like all the way here. There's no gaps, no nothing. From here you cannot really see anything, but yeah, there's no gaps, just here in the very corner. But the crimp is solid so far. Okay, so I'm gonna try to pull it somehow. I'm gonna figure it out somehow. But let's have a look at this fuse. So everybody hates this fuse because it's a fire hazard. It's the worst fuse ever possible to make. Okay, I had to make a stop because my daughter brought a statue of a dog and broke it, so I had to do an operation, fix it. Anyway, so fuse holder. Let's disassemble it and see how it actually works. So you unscrew this. Let's put it out. Okay, so that's the fuse, and it is held inside by this ring that squeezes it from the sides. So it's not only pushed like this, squeezed when you turn these. Not only this, but it's held from the sides as well. So if it's loose, then you're gonna have increased resistance and potential fire hazard. But it's not falling out anywhere, so it's not even wobbling, tiny bit. So it is a solid connection. It's not gonna go anywhere, and especially if you put it in and you squeeze it in the holder. So if you're missing these parts, the rubber grommets, because these have a little gap as well, if you're not putting any of these, then maybe you have a looser connection. But if you're using everything as intended, should be fine. And here, these, is exactly the same like an amplifier, right? So let me just take it out very quickly. There we go. So it's a ferrule, very good connection, and sorry, yeah, my little one is hungry, so she's coming to me. So ferrule, and exactly the same connection as you have in an amplifier with this one. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this one, cut it in half with the Dremel, and I'm gonna compare it with, because I bought proper lugs. Yeah, so this is a proper lug, 8 and 9. So, oh sorry, 6 and 8. 6 is 6 square millimeters for the wire, and 8 is an 8mm hole. So I'm gonna crimp it with a crimper, because I have one 6mm crimper. I'm gonna crimp it, cut it in half, and I'm gonna compare with this one when I'm gonna cut it in half. Okay, so give me a second, I'm gonna cut everything. Okay, cutting is done. I have the results here. Let's have a look. So the proper crimp. I don't know how well it's gonna be able to focus. There we go. So it looks like a solid piece of copper. Let's actually try to zoom out. Maybe it's gonna focus a bit better. There we go. Yeah, so it looks like a solid piece of copper, which a crimp should be. Now let's have a look at this one. So it was like this. It's cut in half, and So one side, so you can see this side, the right side, is exactly the same how the proper crimp is. Solid piece of copper. The left side, this one, has some air. And this is exactly the same. Oh, there we go. You can see very, very nice. So this side is properly crimped, and that side is not that perfect. So it's not that perfect, but it's very damn good. And for sure, even with this much, you cannot pull it out or take it out. So yeah, I cannot pull it out by hand. So it is strong. So it's not perfect, as expected, but not that bad. So what I have a second one, exactly the same, the shitty one. And now I'm gonna try to somehow pull it with a lot of force and compare. Of course, that one probably is gonna be much more stronger, but we're gonna compare and see. Okay, so I don't have any kind of scientific device that can measure pull, so I figure out I'm gonna do this. I have two bolts, I have a knot, and the thing is I don't need to measure each of them. What I need to do is, if I'm gonna pull on both at the same time, one of them will give. And the other one, the one which one is the weakest, is gonna give first. That's my thinking. So as you can see, it's exactly the same crimp that like on the red one, it's just black. And I crimped this one, it's the same wire, but a longer piece that I have a spare one. I crimped it properly with a crimper, yeah, with the same. I'm just gonna pull and see which gives first. So let's try, I don't know, I just wanna see what I'm doing. Okay. It's not, okay, so it's not giving like that. I just wanna know where I'm standing so I could see. Okay, let's put this one on the ground. And let's pull. I don't know, is it visible? Yeah, it is visible. Okay, let's pull. Oh, okay. And yay! So this shitty one gave first, which is expected, but you still needed a lot of force to break it. Yeah? So, in summary, this shitty crimp that I did, is it bad? No. Is it perfect? No. Is it a fire hazard? Of course not. It's a not bad crimp, it's not perfect, but my car wouldn't burn down because of this. But now, since I have these, I'm gonna redo both of those crimps. And just of peace of mind, so nobody's gonna bother me anymore, I'm gonna have proper crimps with a crimper, like it should be. Yeah. So, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.